Hello, my name is Grzegorz Pytel. I'm a process engineer at Storware. Today I will tell you about new version of our solution, Storware Backup and Recovery 5.1. Have you ever suffered loss of your data, your virtual machines, or maybe your hypervisors? I will show you how to avoid such a situation. In our live demo, I will present Hyper-V protection using Storware. So let's begin. Our philosophy at Storware is freedom of choice, which means that you can use almost any hypervisor or other data source and store it in many different destinations, such as file systems, object storages, and enterprise backup providers, for example, IBM Spectrum Protect, Avamar, Networker, all the data domain. Today, I will show you how to configure your Hyper-V environment with our solution, how to provide backup for your virtual machines, how to make a restore, how to configure policies, backup destination, and other functions of Storware. So let's begin. We will go to Virtual Environments and add our Hypervisor Manager. So in Infrastructure, we choose Hypervisor Manager tab and click Create. Hyper-V is the only virtualization that needs agent on a host or hosts if you have more than one server in your environment. So we assume that previously the agent was installed and the only thing that you need to configure during the installation is password for this agent. And now we need to provide URL and password for the agent. And if we are using a cluster, then we need to choose between System Center Virtual Machine Manager or Failover Cluster, depending on what we use. So now, after we add this information, we can save our Hypervisor Manager and run synchronization task to get information about the VM that reside on our host or group of hosts in a virtual environment. So let's go to the Hypervisor Managers, find our Hyper-V, and trigger this inventory synchronization task. So let's click it. Then we can go to the Workflow Execution Console and check the status of our task. We will see that it's running. We can drill down to see the status of the subtasks. Now we will have to wait a couple minutes to this task to end. Meanwhile, we'll go to backup destination and I will show you how to configure different backup destination that we can use in Storware. So let's go to the backup destinations. Here we can choose between file system, object storages, and enterprise backup providers. So we will use file system. We just need to click Create Backup Destination and choose File System, Synthetic or Regular File System to prepare new backup destination. Here we already have some destinations. The first of them is File System and the third one is File System Synthetic. So let's see what's inside. If we go to the File System, we need to provide a name, the node configuration for our solution. We need to configure the path where the backups are stored. Also, we can enable deduplication, which use a video mechanism to provide software deduplication that is done underneath by Storware. Or we can just leave this path, so we won't use deduplication in this scenario. But we can configure immutable backup destination, which can provide us protection from ransomware that can affect our backups. So when we assume that we want to protect from ransomware, we can use this immutability function to provide such a function. Okay, so let's see what's in synthetic file system. We also have a name, the node configuration, and a backend that is used to provide such a synthetic backup destination. When adding a synthetic backup destination, we can choose between XFS and DDBoost, which is used when we are configuring connection with the data domain. But mostly the XFS is the thing that we need to configure, and it can be run just using Storware Server and Storware Node. Our synchronization is now complete, so we can go back to virtual environments, instances, and we can apply a filter to select only the virtual machines that reside on our Hyper-V manager. So let's do it. Okay, and now we can see a couple of machines and two hosts that are managed by this manager. So the next step that we need to do is create a backup SLA, which is a policy that describes how this machine should be backed up. So let's go to the backup SLAs. We already have a Hyper-V policy, so let's see what is inside. Here we have our policy. We need to provide a name and then other configurations. We can use auto assignment to automatically assign new or already existing machines to this policy. It can be tag-based or regex-based assignment. So we can enable it, create a tag rule or regular expression rule, which will automatically assign virtual machines to this policy. Now we'll disable it. Then we go to the virtual environments, when we can manually select one or more virtual machines that we want to backup. So let's choose virtual machines only from Hyper-V hosts. We can see which of them are selected in this policy. Let's click here for selected. It's a one machine. Let's leave it as it is. And then we go to the rule. The rule describes the location of backups. It's a primary backup destination. Here we can see its local synthetic file system. We also have retention options here, the days of keep and the name and the versions of and the number of versions to keep. We also have schedules. We can see there are full schedule and incremental schedule. If we go inside one of them, we can see that here is a name and the type of a backup. Also, we need to choose the time of day and a day of a week when these backups are triggered. Let's save it. And if we made such a policy and a schedule, we can run backup for this virtual machine. We can do it from here, just clicking backup in the policy, or we can go to the instances, find our virtual machine, so this one is assigned to the policy, and we can click backup once again, and now new task is submitted, and we can also see it in our workflow execution console. So now we need to wait for the backup to proceed. We can go to the details and see the subtasks that are made during this backup task. Now the backup is complete, so we can go to the details of this virtual machine and see what was done. So let's click the name of the machine. Here we have a bunch of statistics of backups and restores that were done for this machine. So here are two backups, all of them are full. The same information we can see in backup history. And in details we can also see information about machine disks or schedules and other settings that are connected with this machine. Now let's try to make a restore. So here we have a restore button. Let's click it. What we can done here is instant restore, restore to hypervisor, or restore to the node. If we choose instant restore, the machine will be mounted in our node and will be available in hypervisor. We can also use live migration mechanism to migrate it directly to the hypervisor, but it can be running just after mount from our node. The second option, restore to hypervisor, will make a full restore of our machine. So we need to choose one of the hypervisor that works in our cluster. Let's leave the default. We need to provide a path to our storage. So let's browse it. Let's choose the proper folder. It can be virtual hard disk. Let's save it and give it a name specific to our machine. So it can be small Linux. From this place we can also customize networking of our machine. We can choose to delete the original machine if it already exists in a hypervisor, or change the name of the restored machine. So if we have a small Linux that already resides on a host, we can change it to, for example, restored. We can also power on a virtual machine after restore, and now we can click restore button, and also new task is submitted and it appears here in the console. So during the restore is proceedings, let's see the other options in virtual machine details. If we have previously made a restore of it, we can also see a restore history. We can see it was succeed, it was restored to the hypervisor. We can see the details. And the other option that are available for us is mount. If we use mount, the disk of virtual machine is mounted in our node, and we can granularly restore files or catalogs from the disk that will reside on our node. Let's see what options are here. Let's click mount. We need to choose the backup point, choose the node, and here we can leave the mount file system automatically, or we can specify the file system to be mounted. We can even share our drive using iSCSI. So we won't be mounting it now because the restore task is still proceeding. But we can talk about our other options that we have here in Storware. One of the interesting functionality is our role-based access management. So if we go to the access management, we can see the roles of our users, the groups, and a particular users that can be used in Storware Web UI. If we go to the roles, we can create the new one. It also provides us granular roles management. If we switch off system level toggle, we can see that for hypervisor managers or hypervisor or execution configuration for applications or storage providers, we can make a very narrow set of rights to manage our backup infrastructure. Alright, our restore is also completed, so we can see the details of this task. We can see the statistics inside the VM, so let's find it in virtual environments, instances. In backup and restore statistics, we can see the information about the time and amount of data sent in last restore and backup jobs. We can go through the statistics. We can use it to plan our RPOs and RTOs. So when we see how many time does it take to make a full restore of our virtual machine, we can make such a plans. Now the other feature that is worth of mention is recovery plans. So if we go here to the recovery plans, we can create a plan and see what is inside. Let's give it a name, recovery plan, save it and make a new rule. Let's click add rule, we'll give it a name, recovery plan rule. Then we go next. We need to choose virtual environment, which is our virtual machine. So let's search for it. Okay, we have a small Linux. Then we go next. Here we can create schedule. I will tell you more about it in a minute. And restore parameters. Like in a regular restore, we need to choose if we want to restore it to a hypervisor or to the node. We need to choose a hypervisor and path where the data will be restored. So let's browse the disk and choose some catalog. We will save where we'll save the recovery data. Let's name it recovery plan. Okay, the other parameters, just like during the restore, let's save it. And now we have a recovery plan. So when the disaster will happen and we have a running instance of a Storware, we don't need to gather the information about the most important machines that we need to recover for our production environment. We can put them to the recovery plan, and just in one click we can execute it, and in a minutes or couple of minutes we'll have all of our most important machines recovered to the new infrastructure or to the other hosts. I talk about the schedules. So if we go back to the recovery plans and we will edit the rule, we can create some schedules. So let's give it a name. Let's choose a time and days. Let's say once a week on Saturday. Let's save it. And now every Saturday at 6 p.m. our machines that are connected to this rule will be recreated in a chosen environment. So in this scenario we can check if they are recoverable and if they are working properly after the execution of a recovery task. So let's click next, save, and now we have a ready plan for our disaster. Thank you for watching. I hope I got your attention. If you want to get more familiar with Storware Backup and Recovery, you can download our trial version. For more information, please visit our website at storware.eu. Thank you once again and hope to see you in our next video.